Our sponsors for today are Tom Wall and Kathy Dice. They have a tree nursery, trees beside chestnuts. Myself, I run the Prairie Grove Chestnut Growers, a marketing arm for chestnuts growers in the area. The Iowa State Extension Office, Kathy Vance, helped us with the registration. I thank her.
Very helpful.
I just want to say I belong to the Chestnut Growers of America Association. It's a nationwide chestnut growers. We have a conference once a year. We had our largest turnout this last June. It was at the University of Missouri. I have to say this group beats that attendance. So there's a lot of interest in chestnuts. I hope everybody that came today, you get your questions answered, you get some information. It's a fantastic opportunity. You're going to see there's a lot of passion for chestnuts, and the people that are speaking today, hopefully we can pass that on to you if you don't already have that. It's something I fell into. It was not something I was searching for, and it's been a wonderful thing for extra income in my farming operation. I thank Tom for helping me get started. So we're going to talk about the why you want to plant chestnuts, the what, where, how, and when. We hope to answer all those 5 questions as we go through. If you have questions, write them down. We're going to have a question and answer session when we get all through today. It makes it go a lot faster if you just wait to the end to answer the questions, because some of your questions may be answered as some of the speakers go through the presentation. Let's see. How many of you have chestnut trees already established? Okay, about half, a little more. Okay. This is such a, this industry is really in its infant stage. We've been about 20 years since the Chinese chestnuts have been started in this area. And even 10, 20 years, that's a long time, but the production of chestnuts, the supply is this, and the demand is this. And I am not kidding. This is going to be good for a long time. A couple of reasons is because it takes about 10 years to really see your chestnut orchard be profitable. And so there's kind of a barrier into entry. It takes 10 years of working with your chestnut trees to get them up into some type of production. And so it's not something where everybody and their uncle is going to get into overnight and ruin the market. And the demand is so strong, we're not going to saturate the supply for the rest of my lifetime, probably not yours either. I'm so happy to see so many young people here, because this is something that you can really grow into for the rest of your life. And this area of the country, the Midwest, could be, and probably will be, the center of the chestnut business. There's chestnuts grown all over the United States, but there is a lot of growers in a 200-mile radius around here. So, with that being said, there's a lot of information. We've got experts in how to plant, the type of trees. We've got experts on the research that's being done on chestnut trees. It's not as simple as buying a chestnut tree and putting it in the ground. This is something that's going to be there for 50 years or more. It's like growing corn. You can go on the cheap and buy the cheapest corn, hybrids to plant, or you can spend $300 a bag and get the best there is. And if it's going to be around for 50 years or longer, I would suggest you plant the best research trees that we have. This thing is evolving. What we knew 20 years ago is not the same as what we know today. By that I mean the trees that were planted 20 years ago have the smaller nuts, and the ones that we're researching now are the larger nuts. And there's a demand for all sizes of nuts, but the income seems to be in the larger nuts. So, like, I'm trying to make the point that we're learning as we go through here. Also, let you know, this works out good for me. I live in Florida in the wintertime. This is a business you can do 6 months out of the year. You don't have to live with it. So, a little dark, it's because I was playing shuffleboard on the beach yesterday. I thought to come up here at noon. And I'll tell you this little story to get us started. I got a friend that lives in Florida. We're best friends, and when he calls, I always go FBI. And when I call him, he always goes to CIA. So yesterday, I was in the airport, he called me. I was sitting in this little restaurant in the airport. He calls me, and I go, FBI. And everybody in this restaurant, I'm not kidding, everybody in the restaurant was quiet. And all of a sudden, they all turned their head and looked right at me. And so I played to the crowd. I told him on the phone, I says, I know where you're at, we're watching you, and I know that pretty little thing sitting beside you. And they just all kind of like didn't know what was happening there. So I had some fun. I'm glad to be here. All right, a little bit of the overview. The United States produces maybe 1% of the total world production of chestnuts. There is such a wide opportunity in this country. If you see chestnuts in Thanksgiving or after, those chestnuts are coming either from China or Italy. And the chestnuts that we grow in this country, we sell as fresh chestnuts. We sell them in September through October. If by the middle of November, I want to be sold out. So I don't sell anything but fresh chestnuts, and those are chestnuts that are 2 weeks old or less. And so I will keep that in mind. And the people that buy our chestnuts, they want fresh chestnuts. Most of the people that buy chestnuts from us, they roast them. I would say way over 90%, they roast these chestnuts in their backyard. They have their friends and family come over. They take them home. They put them in the refrigerator. And what they're not going to eat in the next 6 weeks, they freeze. Now, we don't recommend anybody freeze the chestnut in the hull because it has to age a little bit. But that's just how the majority of our customers look at the chestnuts. And I would say the vast majority of them are ethnic minorities, the Chinese, the South Koreans, the people that came from Southern Europe, where the chestnuts were part of their culture as they grew up. People come to my facility in Columbus Junction here, and they bring their whole family. It's kind of like what we do during Halloween when you come pick your pumpkin out to make a festival of it. They bring their whole family because they want their children to see what the chestnuts look like. And a lot of them like to go out to the farm and observe the trees. So these are the type of people we merchandise to. If how many people here have not tasted a chestnut? Well, before I got into business, I never tasted one either. Matter of fact, the first couple of years, I didn't really like them. And then I learned how to eat them because they become sweeter the longer you age them. And so it's something I developed a taste for. I would say very few of our customers are white Caucasians that have lived here and their family for over 50 years. Those are not our customers. All right, like I said, our customers are ethnic minorities, at least in the Midwest here. So there's a lot of opportunity to grow the business. The chestnuts in this area in the eastern part of the United States are pretty prolific, and the American chestnuts pretty much all died out. Very few trees are left. The trees that we're using and that Tom sells and most of my growers use are Chinese chestnuts, or a Chinese hybrid chestnut. They tend to be a little bushier, but you're going to see as we go through here, they're very highly productive, and you can make a nice income off this. The Chinese chestnuts tend to be very sweet the longer you age them. That's one of the first things I hear all the time from people. These chestnuts are sweet, and it's hard for me to explain. You have to experience it yourself. Okay. The chestnut is a water-based nut, unlike a lot of the nuts that are oil-based, which means you need to keep them refrigerated because they're going to dry out. This is my cooler here, walk-in cooler. I had this picture taken. This was our biggest day of the year. I had over 5,000 pounds of chestnuts in the cooler here. And we keep the cooler 34 to 38 degrees, and even in a week's time, A 25-pound bag, which these are all 25-pound bags, I'll lose close to a pound. So there is shrinkage involved. If you don't put them in a cooler, you're going to lose weight faster. They're going to dry out. You're going to lose income because I buy them on weight. And the less they weigh, the less you're going to receive. Let's see here. Just to kind of give you an idea, Tom will probably touch on this, but in my orchard, I've kept records. On the 3rd year, you may see a few of your trees have chestnuts on them. By the 5th year, we averaged about a pound a tree. And by the 10th year, 10th to 12th years, 10 to 12 years, we were averaging 10 pounds a tree. You get these trees up to 15 or 20 years, and you should average 20 to 40 pounds or on up, depending on the hybrid. So it is a long-range thing, and if you treat your trees correctly, they will pay off for you. Okay. I'll tell you a little bit about my business. We started the Prairie Grove Chestnut Growers in 2014. Before that, Tom Wall bought chestnuts from the local growers, and it got so big he didn't want to do it anymore because they do a lot of work with their chestnut nursery, and so I agreed to take it over. So we buy chestnuts from 60-some growers from the Minnesota border into the middle of Illinois to Columbia, Missouri to Des Moines. That's our area. And we're growing at about 20% a year. Our market is expanding faster than the supply. I can't keep up. And one thing I've learned dealing with these ethnic minorities is they like to barter. In the first year I fell for it, and I lost my shirt. So I've raised my prices. I don't barter anymore. I had this one gal from South Korea, lives in the Quad Cities, call me out, and she wanted to barter. And I said, I'm not dealing. And she kept at me, and I said, I'm going to hang up if you don't want them. And she kept going. I hung up. I've never done that before. I hung up on her. She called me back a half hour later. She wanted 500 pounds of chestnuts. And I said, I'll sell them to you, but it's the price that I gave you. I'm not taking a cent less. And she was happy to get them. So I've learned the hard way. I set a price, and that's what it is. I have a lot of fun in this business. The people that buy chestnuts, they're very tender-hearted, very nice people. They're just a joy to work with. I haven't run into hardly anybody I would not want to see come through my door. All right. And I'm a broker. We bought 50,000 pounds of chestnuts this year. At growing at 20% a year, and by the 4 more years, we should be up 100,000 pounds or more. And we can supply that. If we have enough people wanting to buy chestnuts, it's not going to be a problem. I have raised my prices to the growers every year. We started out 2014, I think it was like $2.20 a pound. This last year, I would say the average grower got close to $2.50 a pound. We'll raise our prices again next year. We're slowly inching them up. One of the challenges I have is when we first started, I sold a lot of the chestnuts to wholesalers, to grocery stores. I would say 3/4 of them, the rest of them are to retail customers. Now we sell 80 to 90% of our chestnuts to retail customers and very few to wholesalers or to grocery stores. And we don't discount very like we used to either. The market is growing, there's a lot of demand, we don't have to cover prices anymore. The price is only going to go up. I don't see it ever going down, not in my lifetime. I just don't see that. The reason I bring that up, for those of you wanting to get into business, this is going to be good for a long time. It's not a bad decision. This is not something somebody can get into in 2 years. The market's saturated. It's not going to happen with chestnuts. And most of the Chinese chestnut trees are very prolific. They stand a lot of stress, but they got to have water. They got to have sunlight. They got to have good soil. That's what we have in this area here. So I have a lot of passion for people wanting to get in this business, especially the young people I see here. It's a golden opportunity. We're right on the ground floor or something here. I think the other speakers will amen that as well. We sell all over the United States. We sell a lot of chestnuts in Chicago, but we have opened up markets in the New York area, other places on the East Coast. We have to shut off how many they can buy, because I've had several people come in and want to buy everything I have. And we're trying to grow our customer base. And we sell from Phoenix to Boston to New York to Florida. We sell every place but California. We're not allowed to sell in California. It's amazing to me. The Chinese can sell in California, but Iowa can't. And so we sell in 47 states. Washington, Oregon, and California we're not allowed to sell into, as far as I know. On the East Coast, some of the people I sell to said if they can find chestnuts, they pay $6 to $7 a pound for them on the East Coast. That's if they can find it. So that's the reason I say our prices are going to continue to go up. The challenge I have is to balance that type of market to the people in this area that I've sold to and Tom has sold to for many, many years. We don't want to price them out of the market overnight, because one day we're going to need every customer. And so it's a little tricky for me. How do I do that? That's something I'm slowly working the prices up so people don't feel like they're shut out and they can't afford them. Most of the people who buy chestnuts are working people. They drive trucks, they work in factories, they drive semis. Those are the type of people that buy our chestnuts. I will tell you this story. We sold chestnuts to a guy in Boston. He didn't have an address. He just had a name and a town. So I Googled his name and where he lived, and I called up the real estate agent that was in that area, and I asked him what would be the address of this. He said, there's no address. Those are $5 million homes. Nobody has an address. It's just a town. And so I guess he got him. So anyhow, that's the exception. With the chestnuts, I'll tell you a little bit about what I do here. When the growers bring them in, they bring them in buckets, pails, and sacks, and we have an agreement with the growers. They have to bring them in clean. I like the chestnuts washed. I don't like to have them dirty. I don't like to have a lot of trash in there. The first time it happens, that they bring them in, they're not clean, I go through the process of how I like to have everything clean. If I do it a second time, I discount the chestnuts 25 cents because I have to clean them. So they come in, we run them through a sorting machine. We run them through a sorting machine. And this sorting machine sizes them. The first one by the hopper there, that's 7/8 of an inch hole. Those are our small chestnuts. The next ones are the medium, they're an inch hole. And the last one is 1 1/4 inch. And those are our large. Anything that's larger than that goes out the back end, and those are our extra larges. We have certain groups, all they want is extra larges. We have certain people, all they want small. And so we have no problem getting rid of any size. So we run everything through our sorting machine. When we get done sorting them, we put them on the scale, we weigh them. That's how we pay the people that bring them in. So if you bring in 100 pounds, we sort them out, you get paid so much for the large ones, so much for the small ones, or different prices. We pay more for the medium-sized chestnut because that's the one most in demand in this area. So after we weigh them, we put them in 25-pound bags, or sacks, mesh bags, like I showed in the prior photo there. And then we put them in our cooler. And most of the chestnuts in our cooler are only there for 2 or 3 days. I call the customers, most of them come down and pick them up. we started a van service this past year for a fee I deliver. And so we can control our inventory a little bit better that way. So we sort them, we weigh them, we bag them. If we have to clean them, we clean them after they run through the machine here. And then we merchandise them through there. This is a, for those of you be interested, I don't know if Tom's going to touch on this, but this is a walk-in cooler I built. It's about a 20 by 30. We should be able to hold 10,000 pounds in there. But you see on the wall, well, it was on the last picture. On the wall is a new technology called Cool Bots. The apple orchard people use these. I got two 12,000 BTU air conditioners, and the Cool Bots reprogrammed to go down to 34 degrees. So that's how we keep everything cool. So far, they ice up once in a while. I got two of them. We never had a problem with the temperatures not being below 40 degrees. And it's real economical. I built this whole cooler for about $3,000. The air conditioners and the Cool Bots were another $1,000. So it's very economical. You may not need one this big, but if you're going to get into production, you need to have some place to cool your chestnuts. When we started on our farm, we bought a couple old refrigerators, and they get 250 pounds in those refrigerators. So we kept them cool that way. You keep them fresh, and you keep them from shrinking. Just an idea about shrink. Last year, our shrink was about 2,000 pounds or $5,000. That's with the cooling system that I have here. When we send it through the mail, the U.S. Postal Service gives us the best opportunity to get the nuts to the destination the faster. If I sell 25 pounds, I put 26 pounds in the bag, because they're going to lose a pound going through the Postal Service. I should back up. When we sell through the Postal Service, I only do 20-pound orders. So we put 21 pounds in, they get 20 pounds. It's not uncommon for somebody to call me up and say, my nuts only weigh 19.8 pounds. I've heard that several times. I don't know what kind of scale they got, but the weight, people are aware of the weight, and we try to work with that. So it is a concern. I sold to a large group in Chicago last year, and I don't know what happened, because I weighed every bag before I left, but when they got there, they were half a pound short in every bag. So I ended up giving away some free bags, and that was a 3.5 hour drive to Chicago. So they do shrink. Okay. We don't do a lot of advertising. It's word of mouth. We'll get somebody in Chicago, they tell their neighbors, and then the next year they're calling me. And we got people in Dubuque, they tell their neighbors, and the next year I've got 2 more people that are calling me. I put everybody on a waiting list. People call me every day, want to know what their chestnuts are. I tell them I can't send them until they bring them in. And they want to come down that day and pick them up. I told them through this. It's very hard to work with the clientele that's this passionate and tell them no, but I can't sell them if I don't have them. And so we try to manage our inventory with that in mind. Some people have to wait a couple weeks. The average order, I would say, is 50 to 100 pounds. Very few people order less than 25. I don't like to sell anything less than 20 pounds. Most of our orders, again, are like 50 to 100 pounds. And a lot of our orders are, they buy for their friends. They'll buy 500 to 1,000 pounds at a time. That's pretty common. We try to be all sold out by the 10th of November. Most of the time we're sold out by the 1st of November. So we sell strictly fresh chestnuts. If they want them after that, I tell them you're going to have to go to the bigger cities, and you'll get the imports from Italy or China, and those are good nuts, but about half of them aren't going to be any good, or a third of them, because they came over on a ship. And so even though they're cheaper, you're going to have some difficulties with it. but they're still good chestnuts. If you've ever been to New York City, almost every street corner sells chestnuts on the holidays. A little bit about the marketing. We're unique in this area. I don't know of anybody else that buys chestnuts. There are some co-ops up north that buy chestnuts, but they have to sign contracts, and they're very much of a stickler. If you sign the contracts and you raise 5,000 pounds of chestnuts, they want all 5,000 pounds. They don't want you selling some on your own. We're a little different. I've taken a risk here. We work with the growers. If they have some customers on their side, that's fine. Most of them, many of my customers, they bring the bulk of their shipments in, and we have a good working relationship with all the growers. I don't really see that as a problem. But I've taken the risk here. I've built the facility, I do the marketing, I've got the customer base, and we've got a market outlet for those of you that want to grow chestnuts that don't want to get into the market. It is time consuming, and if you have to sort by size, you've got to have some equipment. So that's what we offer. As far as the harvesting, most of our growers use nut wizards. Is there anybody that's not familiar with the nut wizard? Kathy, are you in the back? There's a nut wizard right there. That's how the bulk of the chestnuts are harvested. And I sell them at Bailey cost to help the growers harvest their chestnuts. As you walked in, one of our growers, Stan Stats, built a mechanical harvester that, with one of them, you might be able to do 50 pounds in an hour, probably not, maybe 30 pounds. With the harvester outside, you can do 100 to 200 pounds. It's a lot faster. And then for those that have larger orchards, there's mechanical equipment you can buy that anywhere from $10,000 on up that will harvest 20 acres at a time. You have to remember when these trees start dropping chestnuts, and in this area, it generally starts around the 10th. It was a little earlier a couple years ago because we had a warm August, but generally around the 10th. If you get a tree that starts to drop, those nuts are not all going to drop on the same day. They'll drop over a period of 10 days to 2 weeks, maybe even longer. So if you've got 100 trees, the harvest is going to start middle of September and it'll go till late October. Just like people are all different. And there'll be a burr on the tree, this one will open, and then you got one on the other side that won't open for 5 or 6 more days. You can't shake the tree, you have to harvest the nuts off the ground. So we're unique in that aspect. We harvest our nuts in our place early in the morning and about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We do it twice a day. We do that to keep the nuts fresh, and we do that so the deer don't get them. If you're in an area where there's heavy deer population, you might have a problem. Some people put fences up. We don't have a big deer problem. It's not something I have to deal with. The squirrels get a few, and my dog gets a few. Any animal that eats a chestnut, they seem to like them after the second time. Tom told this story that the squirrels didn't know what a chestnut was. And it went a few years, he never had a problem with the squirrels. And all of a sudden, they found out how good they were, and they were beating him out there to the chestnuts every morning. So, the animals can be an issue. We have some growers up by English Valley in that area. One grower in particular, she thinks the deer eat probably 20% of her chestnuts. So, that is a challenge. And just to inform you how positive I am on this, we've got 600 trees on 10 acres. We're going to plant 10 acres this year, next year, and the year after. So we'll have 40 acres in 4 years. That's my plan if everything goes right. And I guess to sum it up, this area has a lot of things that growers need. They have somebody that's very knowledgeable in chestnuts, Tom Wall, his wife Kathy. We have a marketing arm that the Prairie Grove Chestnut Growers provides. We've got the University of Missouri. You're going to hear from Mike Gold. It's the preeminent research facility in the United States. We buy our seed nuts from them. I know Tom does too. Most of the people in the United States, a good portion of them buy their seed nuts from the University of Missouri. They do a lot of research down there. Mike, who's head of the chestnut industry at the University of Missouri, he's going to talk a little bit about the different varieties. I suggest that you take it to heart when he talks about the different production numbers they have for them. So we have everything you need in the Midwest. You can go to other parts of the country, you're not going to find this. We're very special in this area, in a 200-mile radius from here. That's about all I have. A little early. There's chestnuts that Tom and Kathy are going to pass out in bowls. If you would take one chestnut, pass it on down, you would have an opportunity to taste their chestnuts they harvested from last fall. So with that, I'm going to close. Just a second. Well, we're going to take questions. We'll do 5 minutes of questions, and then we'll have a question and answer session when we get done. Just let me go over the you probably all know, but just so nobody questions, we're going to have Tom Wall talk about how to grow chestnuts. We're going to have Lisa Lowe with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources talk about cost share. We're going to have Mike Gold from the University of Missouri talk about the varieties of chestnuts, the research they're doing. We're going to talk about grafted trees versus freestanding trees. And then we're going to do question and answers and a tour.
Grafted versus seedling trees. When you get your chestnut, it will have a cut already across the belly or the flat side of the chestnut. The easiest way to open your chestnut is to squeeze on either side of the cut. And it should pop open for you, especially if it's still warm. I'm trying to squeeze with my big hand. So that'll be the easiest way. And the color should be a nice, bright, sunny color. If there's brown or black spots, do not eat that chestnut. Or if it's green, that's not good.
I passed my pocket knife around, but they took it away from me at the airport last time. Excuse me. What was your question?
Yeah, I was wondering if you could talk more about the curing process.
The curing process?
It says that they need to age a little bit. If you talk about what conditions and how long.
Well, are you going to touch on this? Okay. I'm going to let Tom touch on this. He has more experience than I do.
When chestnuts first fall from the tree, they have about 50% moisture on them. And then most of the rest is carbohydrate, a little bit of protein, and so low in oil or fat they're considered fat-free. But when they fall from the tree, they're going to taste somewhat like a raw potato with maybe a little bit of sweet corn taste to it. Pretty bland. They need to be cured. We call the aging process curing. And curing is just the process of slowly drying at room temperature without heat or forced air. When the chestnut has lost about 50% of its original moisture content, or put another way, when it goes from 50% moisture down to 25% moisture, that is the ideal stage of curing. It tastes a lot sweeter and a lot more rich versus when they're fresh off the tree.
Is that how weight? Is that how weight? How do you determine percentage?
Okay, I'll get to that.
Oh, sorry.
The time it takes for that curing process depends on the size of the nut. Smaller nuts can cure in 2 to 3 days. The extra large nuts may take 2 to 3 weeks. The best way to tell when a nut is cured is when you squeeze the nut between your thumb and forefinger, you can feel airspace in between the shell and the kernel. And the shell's soft, kind of like a peanut shell. And then you open up the nut, and if the kernel is kind of soft and spongy and pliable versus rigid, then that is a cured nut and ready to go.
Don't you find if you do that, they get moldy?
With Chinese chestnuts, they very seldom get moldy between the start of the curing process and the end. Once they're cured, they don't store well, and they will get moldy if you don't feed them properly or freeze them. So you store them fresh, cure them just before you eat them. But I would say less than 1% gets moldy or spoils during the curing process. They need to be fresh. You don't cure them first, and then so if you bring them in cured, you won't get. They won't buy it. They don't store them.
Yeah, I've had buyers come in and they feel them, and if they're spongy, they won't buy them. They want fresh chestnuts. They want to cure them on their own. They're leery of how long you've had them because they want fresh chestnuts.
I just wanted to mention that the idea we call it a cold chain. So from the time you pick it up in the orchard, you get it right into your refrigerator, and then anybody who else the chestnuts change hands, whether it goes to the produce manager or to your home, it still has to go back to refrigeration until you want to cure it and eat it. So if you see it in a grocery store and it's not in refrigeration, don't touch it. Probably bad.
You see that a lot around here at Christmas time, people selling chestnuts in a barrel. And I just shake my head because they're not educated in how you store. A chestnut is not peanut. A chestnut is not pistachio. A chestnut's unique. It has to be refrigerated.
If you're buying chestnuts from people that like to pasture chickens on it, how soon do they need to remove them off before they?
The chickens.
No, yeah, the chickens. Is there rules like how many weeks or months before nuts are dropping?
Oh, well, I never been asked that question. I would say as long as the nuts are, she asked a question about if you have chickens in your orchard. As long as the nuts are clean, it's not an issue to me. I don't believe the chickens are going to harm the chestnuts.
I think with fresh produce, it's usually like 90 days or 120 days to get it. Maybe someone else knows.
What's that?
Well, for example, with fresh produce, the food safety regulations, it's 90 days. That includes 90 days. So,
That's the ground. It's stuff in the ground, and that's 120.
oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So,
No, but
120 days, I guess.
There's a question in the back there.
Is there a market for organic or a price premium?
Okay, the organic market. That's a totally different market. I advise people, if you want to get into the organic market, you need to research it a lot because there's only so many people that are going to pay organic prices. They're about double the price of what I sell them for or what most people sell them for. And so there is not a big market. There is people that buy them. I don't sell organic chestnuts. Quite frankly, all the chestnuts I buy, I would guess 75% or more are organic. They're just not labeled organic.
So there is a grower in Chestnut Charlie in Lawrence, Kansas, and they are certified organic. They sell to Whole Foods, etc. They get a higher price point, and that's just the way they've chosen to do it.
We have a grower down by Burlington, south of Burlington. He sells to Whole Foods, and they backed out of the contract with him last year. He takes his to Indiana somewhere. So even though you have these markets, I'd be very careful. If that's why you're getting into business, I'm not saying that there isn't a market for it, but it's a challenging market. I guess the best way to put it. All right, one more question, then we're going to move on.
First, did everyone get a bowl of chestnuts go by them yet? I'm trying to figure out where I missed. Ah, it's coming. I know I'm missing. Thank you.
I would just say in closing that there is no reason after a 15-year orchard that you shouldn't be able to produce a couple thousand pounds an acre at $2.50 a pound. That's probably on the low side, that's $5,000. Anywhere up to $7,000 to $8,000 to $9,000 per acre. And that's 60 to 70 trees on the site per acre. So there is a lot of upside here. And that's selling through co-op or through myself. So there is a high ceiling on the chestnut business.